We need to talk about what is going on in New York City currently. Tens of thousands of migrants are crossing over the border illegally and flooding the streets of New York with hopes of permanently migrating into the United States. Shocking footage has recently come about showing thousands of illegal immigrants lining up on the streets of New York with the hopes of seeking shelter and asylum. If you go by what the media is showing you surrounding the situation, you would probably believe that there are thousands of stranded women, children, and families simply waiting on shelter, food, and potential work opportunities. But if you begin to look a bit closer at what is really going on, you will begin to notice that it is actually mostly military-aged men. And what these men are doing to New York communities now that they are here is truly disturbing. Today, we are going to review some videos, clips, and articles that have been revealing the reality of the situation going on in New York City, and probably soon enough, a city near you. The Biden administration's failure to properly secure the border is just another addition to the long laundry list in which Biden has prioritized his own interests ahead of the American people's. So let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome. We talk all things politics and culture, and today we're going to be talking about the migrant crisis in New York City. I am honestly shocked that more people aren't talking about this situation because I have just been down the rabbit hole on my TikTok FYP for days. I have personally never agreed with any aspect of this situation since it started, but what I have discovered is really going on in New York City is even more baffling than I initially thought. So let's check out some of this footage. So I really wanted to pull up this particular clip first because I really feel like it sets the tone for what's going on.
How are they this ungrateful? Migrants giving free housing in a luxury 4-star hotel in NYC posted videos online bragging about their new lifestyle. The insane part is that many iconic and expensive hotels in NYC have had to be shut down, converted into free homeless shelters to fix the migrant crisis. Instead of acting grateful for the hotel, these migrants boasted to their friends about how they now have all this nice stuff for free because they came to America.
So a lot of the hotels that Mayor Adams is putting up these migrants in are not necessarily having to close to do this specifically. I know the Roosevelt Hotel, which is an iconic hotel in Manhattan, they had closed due to COVID, so it wasn't a big deal to kind of reopen and do this. But there are some hotels that have had to, close their normal business to house these migrants. And, of course they say that, oh, well, the state is paying them, better than what they would typically get anyways, but I honestly have a hard time believing that. And even if that is true, I don't see why that is fair. I don't really understand why New York taxpayers have to pay for this, why they have to pay for Biden's mistake.
NYC Mayor Eric Adams put the city in this crisis by publicly announcing that he would welcome all migrants. Why are migrants living better than most Americans? There is currently no plan by the Adams administration to deal with these migrants other than taking private hotels and converting them into shelters. It is unclear how long these supposedly temporary shelters will last, but right now it seems they are here to stay. Massive lines of people waiting outside these luxury hotels can be seen at night waiting to get in. Eric Adams brought this on himself by declaring to the world that NYC welcomes all migrants. Other states, including Texas, took up his offer and flew all their refugees to NYC. Very quickly, the city became overrun with migrants and they ran out of resources to properly deal with them.
This is a classic case of be careful what you ask for, right? Mayor Adams never had the capability to handle this, even before it got out of control. And Mayor Adams should have never proposed that idea anyways, because it's unfair to the New Yorkers who are living in these communities. When I look at these illegal immigrants boasting and bragging online about, these bougie hotels that they're in and whatnot, I can't help but feel like, well, geez, there's over, I think 60 or 70,000 homeless people, like homeless American citizens in New York City. And I don't understand why, if we're going to just be giving out free hotels away to everyone, why American citizens wouldn't be taken care of first. I don't really necessarily agree with doing either of these things, but if we're gonna be using taxpayer money to fund anything like this, it should absolutely be American citizens first. But because Mayor Adams couldn't close his big fat mouth, he has now invited all of these people into his city and, like Democrats do, prioritize the interests of non-Americans before the American people. All right, let's pull up another clip. This is from NBC News. So I was actually kind of shocked how relatively unbiased this was, to be honest, but let's take a look.
How did New York City's migrant situation go from here?
How long until you run out of resources?
Oh, well, we're not.
To
We have no more room in the city.
in 10 months.
So I don't understand why the United States, and particularly Democrats, can't just put America first, ever. The last 2 years have been all about putting America and Americans last, to be quite frank. Every single country in the world has border protection and secure borders. Some are more secure than others, but we are the only ones who just let literally anybody in. In fact, I heard an interview with one of these migrants who said it was actually more difficult to get through the Mexican border than it was to get through the United States border. And you might be thinking, why would this situation put Americans last? Because you're going to see in a lot of these videos that a lot of these migrants are not only expensive, but causing issues. So I think it's incredibly unfair that New York taxpayers have to fund the lives of non-American citizens. These New Yorkers didn't ask these people to come there. Their stupid mayor did. And now they had to pay the consequences of it. And of course, Mayor Adams is desperately trying to declare this a national emergency when he's the one who invited this problem in to his state in the first place. So it will no longer just be coming out of New Yorkers' pockets, it will be coming out of the rest of Americans' pockets. Because these Democrats just love to spend money. Their two favorite things are to put the American people's interests last and to spend those American people's money. That's like all they can do.
Putting aside policy at the US-Mexico border, this has a lot to do with a rule that's unique to New York.
Our right to shelter laws.
Those laws say that New York City has to house anyone who asks for it. That was around 61,000 homeless residents in 2021. But 90,000 migrants have come to New York City since last spring. Many of them sent on buses like this from Texas and other states. More than half of those migrants are still in New York's care, meaning a record 100,000 people are in shelters. So the city's had to get creative.
More schools in the city prepared to house asylum seekers.
Up to 50 houses of worship.
Any type of cruise ship.
Private residence.
Adams even floated using his own home, but those all ran into legal roadblocks or public outrage. Instead, the city's been renting out hotels like the Roosevelt. That would cost a ton on its own, but Bloomberg has reported that the city is paying hotels more than they would usually charge for their rooms. Adding to the city's bill, migrants can't legally work in the US without permits.
When I speak with my asylum seekers, they state clearly, we don't want your free room and board and food and clothing. We want to work.
So then why did you come to New York expecting shelter and food and are now complaining when you can't get it? I understand and I have a lot of compassion for people who are trying to seek asylum in the United States because they're from, countries where there's a lot of irresponsible governing going on, a lot of corruption. I get that. But at the end of the day, we have to protect our own interests first. We can't take care of everybody. We can barely take care of ourselves. And I know I sound harsh when I say this, but here's the reality of the situation, okay? You can't seriously expect that every single person who is crossing over the border into the United States is doing so with the wholesome philosophy that they're just trying to find a work opportunity and, escape their corrupt country. That's not reality. When you just allow anybody who can manage to come into the United States, you are not only going to just get people who are sincere and looking for work, you're going to get criminals, you're going to get terrorists, and you're going to get people who have bad intentions. It just is what it is. And as we will see in some of these other things that I have found, a lot of these people have honestly despicable intentions. You have to wonder why the Biden administration is doing it. You have to wonder if they just want to destroy us in our country. I personally believe that. I think that these people are, demonic. I think they're Satanists. And I think that they're globalists. And this is just perfect for them because they can usher in their communist, agenda. It's honestly hard for me to understand how any sane American citizen could see what is going on and be okay with it and then vote for Biden again. People, the Democrats hate you. A lot of politicians on both sides of the aisle hate you, but Democrats in particular hate you. You are nothing but a dirty little peon to them, and you're in their way. You're taking up all of their CO2. You're annoying to them. All you are good for to them is a paycheck. And I just can't understand how so many people believe that people like Joe Biden actually give a shit about them. Because guess what, sweetheart? He doesn't. None of them do. Wake up.
New York says they need those permits for migrants fast-tracked by the federal government, and overall have been begging Biden for support in this crisis.
We need help here in the city.
While I disagree with this entire situation and Mayor Adams got himself into this mess, I would still probably rather us fund this than Ukraine. But all Biden can do is fund Ukraine. That's all he can do. That's all he knows how to do is just send billions of dollars to Ukraine. It's honestly disgusting. All right, let's see what we have next.
Across the country, cities like New York are buckling under the pressure of incoming asylum seekers. It's become a flashpoint as more and more migrants arrive by the busload.
You have people sitting in shelters and in hotel rooms with no place to go, no work, no way to get around the city.
And as the city grapples with more than 107,000 new arrivals since last spring, according to New York officials, concerns are now turning to the school year, which begins this week.
So not only is this a horrible situation for American citizens, it's horrible for these immigrants too. They're literally sleeping on sidewalks, on cardboard boxes. They don't have shelter. They don't have a bathroom. They're probably not getting enough food or water. They aren't safe. This is just bad for everyone involved.
While the city says 19,000 new students living in temporary housing, many of them migrants, have enrolled since July of 2022, Mayor Eric Adams says there's no way to be sure how many more there are this school year.
It is not fair to American taxpayers to have to fund other countries' children's education. We can barely get our own education problems right. This is perfect for the globalists because now they can teach all of these immigrants coming in, their agendas like with LGBT and the rest.
At this recent event organized by the new Immigrant Community Empowerment Organization, migrant families picked up free backpacks and got information about the upcoming school year.
This is the type of thing I'm okay with. If people want to voluntarily spend their money to help other people, that's great. That's fine, but don't expect taxpayers to do that who don't agree with the entire thing in the first place.
Berlin Suarez arrived here last month from Venezuela with her 3 daughters. We asked her daughter how she felt about starting a new school in a new country.
¿Tienes miedo? Are you scared?
She said this is new for her because it's not the same as it was in Venezuela, and she's afraid she won't be accepted for who she is.
This is another thing that I say about immigrants, illegal immigrants, or just immigrants in general. I mean, particularly illegally. Here's the thing. As Americans, if we move to another country, we would be expected to assimilate to their cultures, their beliefs, etc. And we would do it. No one would question it. But for some reason, when people move here, specifically illegally, it's okay that they don't even try to assimilate to our culture here. Obviously, there's a ton of immigrants who do and they fit in well. But there are a ton of people who come here that don't even try to fit into our culture and our society, and it causes issues and tensions between everyone, whether it's, a natural citizen or an immigrant or even just two groups of immigrants. Like it causes issues. And obviously, these types of things can be fixed and whatnot, but a lot of the times, if you're willing to come here illegally, you're not going to be willing to try to acclimate to our societal standards.
On New York's Upper West Side, we spoke with Naveed Hassan and Lauren Balaban. Both have kids that attend PS 145 and have seen resources cut.
We have a library that is no longer. There are no books in there. It's being used as occupational therapy. We have teachers that are sitting the entire day in closets.
Where do your frustrations lie?
I just want to see more being done from a city level, from a state level.
Are you worried that as a result of all this, your own children will fall behind academically?
Yes and no. It's unfair that my kid doesn't have a STEAM room where he can do hands-on science projects, and he doesn't have creative art rooms that keep him engaged throughout the day.
So now innocent children are going to be affected by this. I mean, we already know, specifically in Democrat states, that education systems are horrible anyways, but now kids are going to be affected. Innocent children.
And have you ever blamed the asylum seekers?
They're not the problem. The problem is that we are not equipped to help them, and we should be.
Okay, you little white liberal savior. No. It's okay to blame the migrants. Really, to be honest, It's Biden who is to blame because he just decided that, the whole world should be the United States because if anyone can just come in, why not? Maybe it's not specifically the migrants' fault, but it kind of is. I mean, to take advantage of what's going on right now isn't okay. And no, we shouldn't just be better equipped to handle anybody who wants to come into the country. No, that's not the problem. The problem is we shouldn't be allowing hundreds of thousands of people to just enter the United States as they please. That's the problem. You're the problem. People like you are the problem because you enable this kind of stuff. You are literally so brainwashed that you're being affected by this firsthand, and you still refuse to admit that it's your fault for voting in Democrats who let this stuff happen to you. So honestly, I don't know what to say. The poor innocent child doesn't deserve that, but she does. She deserves whatever is going to happen. If she can't even own up to the fact that it's a mistake to elect leaders who allow our borders to be wide open, you can't even admit that. And now your poor innocent child has to suffer. Next, I want to talk about what some of these migrants are doing to the communities in New York that they are infiltrating, to be quite honest. Asylum seeker. I love how they use that word, asylum seeker. It just makes it sound so much more PC. Asylum seeker allegedly SA'd a woman in front of 3-year-old in New York City funded hotel room. So you want to tell me that all these people are just, innocent families looking for a new chance at life? No. A lot of these people are coming from countries where they've just opened up their prisons and said, yeah, go up to the US, get out of our hair, please. So a lot of these people are former inmates, they're criminals, they're thugs, terrorists, they're unhinged, and they're dangerous. This is like next level. Everything about this headline is just awful. And it doesn't stop there. I was trying to find some of the other headlines that I was reading, but I lost them because I read them a couple days ago. But there were a couple other things going on that I heard about too. For example, so where a lot of these hotels where these illegal immigrants are staying at, there are female workers. And a lot of these men who are here illegally are SAing and Ring the female staff workers. What the hell? Another one I heard was apparently there was a group of some of these asylum seekers that were throwing rocks and bottles at cars and people. And when a civilian went over to try to put an end to it, they beat the absolute crap out of him. And it was like 5-1. And if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, the police couldn't even do anything about it. So to sit here and to be ignorant and act like none of these people are dangerous is a disservice to the Americans who have to live with this. Here's another clip. This looks like it might be from NBC again, or I'm sorry, Scripps News.
In despair, visibly exhausted, dozens of migrants refusing to leave this hotel in Midtown Manhattan. This Venezuelan man saying he's tired and cold, questioning if this is the harsh reality of the American dream.
It is when you decide to just come here illegally.
Dozens of police mobilized in an effort to control the peace, as the irritated and tired migrant men demanded to be allowed back into the hotel. The mayor's office contends the NYPD only responded after individuals who were not asylum seekers assigned to the Watson Hotel rushed in and tried to enter.
Y hay que caminar como una cuadra y media para irse a duchar. No hay agua caliente, las camas son camillas de emergencia.
I'm sorry, but tough luck. You aren't owed anything. You crossed our border illegally. I understand it was easy for you to get here, but that doesn't mean that it's right or that you have any right to anything. Anything that's coming out of any taxpayer's pocket or our government's pocket. You're not owed anything. I understand that this is probably a very difficult thing to go through, but you put yourself in this situation. And I'm sorry, open your eyes. These people, they don't seem necessarily like the type of people who are just looking for work and trying to start a family and live the American dream. No. They obviously look like they're up to no good. They're entitled. My family came to America legally like 2 or 3 generations ago from Mexico. okay? It can be done, and I understand that there's travesty going on in the other, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, none of these arguments matter because it is not in the best interest of our country and our citizens, and that's where the line needs to be drawn. I understand that these people are getting the runaround, but honestly, they should be grateful that they're getting any help. You're not owed any help when you decide to illegally come into our country. I mean, they should be grateful that New York is even doing this much for them. And it's not enough already. Like, is this really the type of mindset and mentality of a person that we want here in America? Someone who's just entitled and thinks the government owes them everything? So we have enough of that already.
Ñango, a migrant from Venezuela, took one of these buses to the new facility, but was only there for a few hours, returning to the Watson Hotel, hoping to get his room back.
No llegamos porque veníamos a darnos lujo o vida de que el alcalde o el gobierno nos mantenga, no, para nada. Llegamos fuera para luchar por nuestra familia igual. También tenemos el derecho y el respeto que se merecen todos los seres humanos.
If you want to be treated just like any other person, then come here the right way. I understand that I probably sound extremely cruel. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this doesn't happen in other countries. I mean, obviously it does. It does, but it's just as big of an issue in other countries too. So especially one thing when we decide to take people in as refugees, you know, that's a different situation. But when people are just literally coming here, crossing the border because they can, because our current administration doesn't care, I'm sorry. Like, I know it sounds cruel, but I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. It's irritating because it's at the expense of innocent people. And it's particularly irritating when you see some of the headlines and you're hearing some of these reports and stories going on of a lot of these migrants harming people. We have so many issues within our own American citizens as it is. I just can't believe that people are even entertaining this. Like, the people who are entertaining this, I don't get it. They live in these cities. They're liberals. They live in these prisons. They have to deal with the effects of this every day, and yet they continue to turn a blind eye to it. It's New York right now, but it's going to be every other major city soon. Here in Minneapolis, our governor recently decided that anybody can get a driver's license. In fact, let me fact check that. I'm correct. Starting October 1st, all Minnesotans can obtain driver's license regardless of immigration status. To get a driver's license, an applicant who is 21 or older must provide their identity, pass a vision test, and pass the written and driving tests. No! You can't just be giving people who are not actual citizens of this country IDs. That is going to incentivize a lot of people to want to come to Minneapolis because it's liberal, it's a metropolitan area, and they know they can essentially just become a citizen here and not even have to do what is required of them to become a citizen. Again, I understand that there are a lot of people who are good people and they're probably just trying to do their best, take care of their families, provide. I understand that, but it doesn't matter. Just because those people are coming in, it doesn't eliminate all of the bad people coming in. This could incentivize human traffickers. This could incentivize a lot. It's not okay. And lastly, here she is, Miss Jean-Pierre. This is gonna drive you nuts.
Green, I spoke with New York City Mayor Eric Adams this afternoon, and he's just very concerned, as he's said in media appearances in recent days, that the White House is not doing enough to prepare for a new surge of migrants, many of whom are going to end up in cities like Chicago, New York, here in D.C. And as you know, it's not just DeSantis and Abbott sending buses of migrants to these cities. It's Jared Polis, a Democrat in Colorado as well. So what do you have to say to those concerns from Mayor Adams?
Look, you know, when the president walked in, the very first piece of legislation that he put forth was an immigration reform bill. That's how seriously he took it. And I know you mentioned a couple of Democrats, but the vast majority of folks who have been pushing back against this have been Republicans. We've seen very, very, in a stark way, the political stunts that they have taken.
F you, dude. F you. Are you kidding me? You guys literally have our border wide open, but it's the Republicans' fault. You can't make this stuff up. If you haven't woken up yet to the fact that these Democrats hate you, they want all of your money, they do not care about you, and they will always prioritize their own self-interest first on your dime and at the will of your suffering, then I don't know how to help you. She just said it right to you, right in front of you. And on that note, guys, that's going to be it for today. This situation is not going to get any better. And our current administration needs to start worrying about America and Americans, stop worrying about other countries and other countries' citizens, and secure our border. When I hear Democrats try to play the whole Republicans are basically the greatest national security threat to America and the biggest threat to our democracy, I can't help but laugh because they're so obviously projecting. And my hope is, even though this is quite an unfortunate situation going on, as more of these situations arise, more Americans, particularly liberals and Democrats, will start to begin to wake up and realize that they're getting played and see what is really going on, and maybe we can actually have a chance at saving this country. What do you think about this migrant situation going on in New York City? Do you live in a major metropolitan area? Are you concerned about potentially hundreds of thousands of more illegal immigrants potentially coming into your neighborhoods, in your communities, and causing problems for you on your dime? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you feel so inclined, and I will see you in another one soon. Peace.